That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right. Welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B., and, of course, just Jack Flat Earth, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right.
Had a eventful week.
Yeah.
Just had oh my gosh, Yom Teruah. I'm trying to type one thing and talk about another thing, and I'm confusing myself. All right, so Yom Teruah was just a few days ago. That is the day for shouting and making noise and referencing the Creator. And if y'all remember a couple chapters back, we talked about them going to the mountain at Sinai, which is where they heard trumpet blasts and sounds that were exceeding of loud, like beyond loud, and loud enough so that they were afraid to die. And so we had a good party. Like, that's not an exaggeration. We ate and drank and made merry for, all day. And the next one coming up is not a party moed, not a party appointment, but a self-inspection appointment. It's a day for fasting and prayer. It's going to be sunset October 6th through 7th. And it is a day for fasting, meditation, self-inspection, and reflection on the Creator. So that's coming up next. And then after that, 5 days later, will be Sukkot, which is a week-long party where it's commanded that you must celebrate for 7 days. And it's a week-long camping party. So you're supposed to be hanging out outdoors and remember what it is to dwell with the Creator in the wilderness. So that's very important. So that's all coming up. And then after that, the next week, we have Flattoberfest. So it is going to be a busy, busy, awesome month for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, it is going to be busy. I'm still tying up loose ends for Flattoberfest. So, yeah, things are going to start rolling along pretty quick here, and I'm already feeling burnt. Woo! All right.
Well, I'm, maybe I shouldn't say this live, but I'm going to say it to you. You need to delegate, Karen. Don't take on everything by yourself. Delegate, delegate, delegate.
Well,
plenty of people you can trust.
I do delegate stuff, but still, there's certain things that really nobody else can do that I have to do.
I hear you. But, anybody, if you see Karen on Flattoberfest and she looks a little stressed, say, hey, is there anything I can help you out with?
Yeah.
All right. So you want to go over last week? We covered a lot. These couple of chapters, this is like the infusion of commands. And like I said last time, a lot of these commandments, if you read them and you think about them, a lot of them seem like common sense. And some of our modern laws have been based on these commandments.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they overstep in, saying, okay, well, we're the ones giving you these instructions, so we're the special boys. You have to bow down to us, even though it's not bowing anymore. It kind of is with our offerings of income and stuff to the rulers of this realm. But if you think about, if you accidentally destroy an animal of theirs, you replace the animal. If you steal it, you replace it multiple times. There's all sorts of stuff like that. Kidnapping is murder. There's a lot of things we covered because it's kind of like a shotgun of different commandments. It's not really a specific thread of information, even though they put a heading on it. So, stealing,
Right.
Making oaths, borrowing. We also mentioned about witchcraft. Witchcraft is the manipulation of other men, which the modern churchianity would define witchcraft as, oh my gosh, what's the word? Jeez. Making nature to create things.
Alchemy?
Alchemy, yeah. So modern churchianity will look at alchemy and call that witchcraft, but it's definitely not. Pharmakia, what they do in, chemical concoctions of medications that manipulate human beings, that would be more akin to
Pharmakia,
witchcraft.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which
pharmakia.
translates as drug sorcery.
Yes, that's correct. So witchcraft, like a lot of times they do blood magic, where they would, sacrifice children, or even drinking their own blood, or sex magic or whatever, to manipulate other people, to have a controlling energy over other people.
So basically, that's like basically interfering with another person's free will.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so now we're into chapter 23, and this one I might have to slow Karen down on a lot of things, because this chapter is full of a lot of information that is often misquoted, mistranslated, misused, especially by people who say we're the special boys, right? If they say, we're the chosen, or we're the birthright, or anything else like that, they'll use this chapter in reading it out of context and stuff like that. So
yeah, and this is another place where it's a weird chapter break too.
yes,
Because it's like the next chapter, this is continuing from the chapter before.
yes, allegedly, right?
Well, I mean, it looks like it is. Cause
yeah, I mean, go back to the last chapter and look for the chapter break there. It's up in the middle again.
Right, laws about social
And
justice.
then go to the previous chapter before that.
Laws
and
about
go down.
slaves. Laws about
And it does right
restitution. Which it
So
does
that-
continue to restitution, because right
Exactly.
here it talks about man stealing an ox or a sheep, yada, yada,
Yep.
yada. Laws about social
And
justice.
social justice definitely means something different today, which
Right.
is goofy.
It's not the same social justice we know about, that's for sure.
The new norm.
Yeah.
All right, so disclaimer time. Might as well get that out of the way.
Yes.
I don't know why I can't say my own name. Just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study the scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then this stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words, as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There you go.
All right.
All right.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. Chapter 23. Do not bring a false report. Do not put your hand with the wrong to be a malicious witness.
Okay. So go back for a second.
Okay.
A desolation. Do not bring forth a hearing of desolation is a false report. So what it does is when you, like the commandment that says do not bear false witness, it's not do not lie. It's do not accuse somebody of doing something that they didn't do, which is a cause of desolation. So it's a little bit more impactful than a false report. Like you're trying to destroy their lives, which I've had to deal with certain types of people that have done that to me recently.
Right.
So I know how bad and serious this is.
Mm-hmm. It is serious. Do not follow a crowd to do evil, nor bear witness in a strife, so as to turn aside after many, to turn aside what is right.
So this verse right here, the Jews have used, and they break it up and they don't read it in its context, and they actually say that you do follow a crowd, like they completely invert it to put forth their own belief system. If a person is speaking out righteously, you should follow them. But if there's a consensus, you should also follow them, is the way Judaism looks at it. But this is telling you specifically you don't follow consensus. Mm-hmm. If it's wrong, it's wrong, period.
Right.
And so that goes a lot into, us who investigate, current claims, that there's consensuses behind it, but there's no actual proof or validation for their claims.
Right.
So this is also according to that.
All right.
Because do evil is like dysfunctional, right? It's
Right.
not.
Right. And do not favor a poor man in his strife.
Okay, so this is oh my gosh, how can I explain it? Let's put it this way: rich people get away with more stuff than poor people. It's like that, and it's saying that shouldn't be.
Okay. When you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall certainly return it to him.
Okay, so is Jesus the first one? And yes, I'm being facetious in calling him Jesus. Is Yeshua the first one who said that you should be nice to your enemy?
No.
No, because right here, it's like you run into an enemy and his animal is going astray, return it to him. You do the right thing regardless if he's a jerk or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? All
Right. When you see the donkey of him who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving it to him. You shall certainly help him.
Okay, so here you have an enemy who's got hard work because his donkey is like having issues carrying the burden, and you're supposed to help him. Sounds a lot like love your enemy, huh? Mm-hmm. Just saying. These are not new concepts.
Right. Do not turn aside the right ruling of your poor in his strife.
Same kind of thing as the previous one about a poor man.
Yeah. Keep yourself far from a false matter, and do not kill the innocent and the righteous, for I do not declare the wrong right. And do not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the seeing one and twists the words of the righteous.
Okay, that's pretty good translation. I was looking at King James Version when I was translating it, and it was bad. This one's much better. Go to King James really quick.
Okay. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise and perverteth the words of the righteous.
So this is saying a gift. It's not a gift.
Right.
It's a bribe. It's literally a bribe.
Right.
The word for gift is natan. The word for bribe is sakad or shakad.
Well, one you want something in return, and the other you don't.
Exactly. That's exactly right. The definition, like if you go to the definition, it'll tell you to giving a gift for a favor. Right, so this is not a gift. This is a bribe.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, the Scriptures version did a good job of changing that word, thankfully.
Yeah. And do not oppress a sojourner, as you yourselves know the heart of a sojourner, because you were sojourners in the land of Mitzrayim.
Okay, so a sojourner is someone who has a short stay somewhere, or they're passing through, or something else like that. They're not someone who occupies the land by birthright or anything else like this. Mm-hmm. This verse right here is completely overlooked by the whole Judaism thing, because they say if you're not a true Jew, then you're a goyim and you have a different set of laws and da-da-da-da-da. And this is telling you completely that you don't do that. You don't treat somebody different just because they've come here by travel, right? Mm-hmm. Regardless if they're native born. So that's what that's talking about. Because y'all weren't native born to Mitzrayim. You all weren't native born to the land of Canaan that you're conquering. Yeah.
Right. And for 6 years you are to sow your land and shall gather its increase. But the 7th year you are to let it rest and shall leave it, and the poor of your people shall eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field eat. Do the same with your vineyard and your olive yard. So
it's taking care of the people who have nothing. Like every 6 years, you're harvesting the crop. Of the 7th year, you let them receive it. And later on, it doesn't mention it here, but later on, when it's talking about the Moedim, it says, when you harvest the land, do not harvest the corners. You always leave something around for people who don't have. Mm-hmm. Always.
Okay. 6 days you are to do your work, and on the 7th day you rest, in order that your ox and your donkey might rest, and the son of your female servant and the sojourner be refreshed.
So it's saying it doesn't matter who it is. Everybody gets refreshed, right? So this, the refresh is actually the life source. This is nefesh. This is what's translated as soul. Okay, so this is the renewing of your nefesh to have that seventh day rest.
Okay. And in all that I have said to you, take heed, and make no mention of the name of other mighty ones. Let it not be heard from your mouth.
Yeah, and this is not just mention, but remembrance or focus on. This is not like if I talk about Dagon the fish god that's worshipped on Good Friday, right? I'm not worshiping Dagon. I'm not remembering Dagon. It's just a teachable moment. So the mentioning of his name is not the same as this, where it says do not mention the name, because it's about the remembered mention. So like if you're going through a hard time, what deity are you thinking about? What deity are you calling on? That's what it's based on.
Okay.
And he's saying don't do that with any of them except for the Creator.
Right. 3 times in the year you are to celebrate a festival to me.
And that's the Matzot, Sukkot, and Matzot, Shavuot, and Sukkot.
Okay.
Those are the 3 times a year.
Guard the festival of Matzot. 7 days you eat unleavened bread, as I command you, at the time appointed in the new moon of Aviv. For in it you came out of Mitzrayim, and do not appear before me empty-handed.
So if you're going to party, don't come to the party empty-handed, right? And this is party because that festival is the word chag, which is to spin, to have a party, okay? So this chag is the beginning one, the one at the beginning of the year, and it's in the Chodesh, the renewed moon of the Aviv. It's not actually of Aviv, it's actually of Ha-Aviv, the Aviv, which this is the harvestable, roastable barley grain. The first harvest of the year. Yeah. And the harvest it's all about the harvest, you know, these festivals.
Yeah. And the festival of the harvest, the first fruits of your labors, which you have sown in the field, and the festival of the ingathering at the outgoing of the year, when you have gathered in the fruit of your labors from the field. So that's Shavuot and Sukkot, right? As it says in the footnote.
Yep. Matzot, Shavuot, Sukkot. Yep.
All right. 3 times in the year, all your males are to appear before the Master Yehovah.
And these are the mentioned remembrance. I don't think that's properly male. It's all that are remembered, those who are in the remembering of the Moedim, not just males, okay? Because it talks about, like, you know, the whole family's going. It's not just the dudes traveling and leaving their families behind to go party. It's the whole family, okay?
All right. Do not slaughter the blood of my slaughtering with leavened bread, and the fat of my festival shall not remain until morning. Bring the first of the first fruits of your land into the house of Yehovah. Your Elohim do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk.
Now, these are 2 separate commandments. They shouldn't be intertwined into one verse, because it doesn't, like, what does goat and mother's milk have to do with first fruits? Nothing. There's a pagan ritual of fertility where you do cook a kid in its mother's milk, like literally. And by this commandment, because this commandment gets re-quoted 3 times in the Torah, the Jews have said this is 3 different commandments about meat and cheese. And I'm sure you've heard about this. Like, they can't eat cheeseburgers.
Oh, is this why they keep everything separate?
Yes. And it's based off this specific command. Do not cook a kid in its mother's milk. It's mentioned 3 times in the Torah, so they made 3 different commandments about how to separate meat and cheese, meat and milk, which has nothing to do with this. They just make up a command.
That's crazy, because they have whole kitchens that are like separate fridge, separate sink.
Yep. All that. Yep. And it has nothing to do with this command, yet that is what it's based on. This is what they do. They take stuff out of context, make up their own laws, and they're like, well, we're the chosen people. We know how to interpret these things, so they make up their own stuff.
Yeah, okay. See, I am sending a messenger before you to guard you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared.
Okay, messenger is often translated, what's it say in KJV there? Is it angel?
Yes, behold,
Okay.
I send an angel before thee.
Not necessarily an angel. Could be a dude. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Could be a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Messenger does not necessarily mean anything celestial. It literally means messenger. And that's why, I think they're good to translate it as messenger. Some people will take this out of context and say that it's talking about Yeshua. And I can see the correlation, right? But it's correlation, not causation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So there are things where a prophecy in Scripture tends to parallel itself through the generations. And so people will say, well, this is talking about Yeshua specifically. Well, it is and it isn't, right? It's speaking of any messenger that Yah sends before him, right? And that this messenger is a messenger is someone who's bringing the message of the Creator, not their own message, not their own ideals, not their own religion.
Right. All right. Be on guard before him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he is not going to pardon your transgression, for my name is in him.
So you can see how people can correlate that with Yeshua.
Yeah. But if you diligently obey his voice and shall do all that I speak, then I shall be an enemy to your enemies and a distresser to those who distress you.
So an important point here is if you diligently obey his voice and shall do all that I speak. Not the man, the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he's just speaking my words. So, and Yeshua often said, I don't come on my own will. I don't speak my own words. I only do the will of the Father. I only speak the words of the Father.
Mm-hmm.
He never put himself on a pedestal above the Creator.
Right, okay. For my messenger shall go before you, and shall bring you into the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I shall cut them off.
Yep, and then that is oh my gosh, how can I explain this? This is a transliter anglicized translation, because if you go to the King James Version, they've changed these words to be more Anglo-Saxon, where it's Amorites,
Mm-hmm.
Hittites, Perizzites, Canaanites, etc. And then if you go to the Scriptures version, they transliterated the first part, but they still left in the ites,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look over there to the right-hand side, they actually end in an E, which it means of the. So it's of Amor, of Heth, of Perez, of Canaan, right? So it's actually Heti, Perizi, Canaani, Yevuzi, like that.
Okay.
So the ites is just this English thing, of the people of, right?
Right.
And cut them off is, I will hide them from you. So it's not even like, you're not even going to have to go to war with these folks. And then you'll see, like, in the book of Joshua and Judges, they go to war with Israel, and they always end up having conflict within themselves, and they kill each other. Pretty cool stuff.
All right. Do not bow down to their mighty ones, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but without fail overthrow them, and without fail break down their pillars.
Yep. And this is in the land, right? So, like, the people who claim to be Israel today, the state of Israel,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they have tons of monuments of other deities tells you that they're not the people of Yah, because they would have knock that stuff out.
Right. And you shall serve Jehovah your Elohim, and he shall bless your bread and your water, and I shall remove sickness from your midst.
Yep, and that's, I mean, if you read all the commandments of Yah and you keep them, sickness is going to be a distant memory. Like, it's very hard to get sick if you're focused on the Creator and doing the instructions that keep you well.
None shall miscarry or be barren in your land, and I shall fill the number of your days.
My wife and I have had a past, I hate using the term because it sounds Christianese, but a past ministry of praying for barren women who conceived within the next year. My wife will tell you, it's been lots of times where they couldn't have children, and then we prayed over them, and then they did. Because, you know, we do well to have lots of children, so.
Yeah. I shall send my fear before you, and cause confusion among all the people whom you come, and make all your enemies turn their backs to you.
So again, this is where I was talking about they have confusion, they start fighting amongst themselves, da-da-da-da. But it says, I will make all your enemies behead. Remember we were talking about, like, for the sake of the lamb, you sacrifice the donkey by beheading them?
Mm-hmm.
It's that same word.
Okay. So, he's saying he's going to behead the enemies?
Yeah.
And I shall send hornets before you, and which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before you.
Oh no, hornets. No. This is bumps or welts or infections, mold, mildew. It's anything that causes sickness and welting.
Okay.
So you can say that hornets cause a welt in the skin, but I don't like this translation at all. There's, like I was telling you before we went live, there's entire teachings on hornets because of this verse, and it's like, no, not even there.
Huh. That's interesting.
Because it even talks about, like, if you have, like, mold or mildew, which is the other translation, right, on pieces of clay pottery that you're supposed to break them and burn them up. You're not supposed to use them anymore. It's not hornets that they're breaking the clay pots for, right? So that's, yeah. And again, some places they translate it as hornets, and some places they translate it as mold, and some places they translate it as pestilence. You know, it just depends on the context. But I don't see hornets as being the logical choice here. I think that when he talks about sickness a few verses back, and then he talks about this one, yeah, I think it's infection or welting.
Infect, welt, and infection of the skin, usually leprosy,
Yep.
mold,
And then you got on the very bottom.
hornet, from the welt when stung.
Yeah, but I think every one of those times, all three times, it shouldn't have been hornet.
Yeah.
So,
That's just random, though. The hornet seems kind of thrown in there.
yep, indeed.
All right. Okay. I shall not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become a waste, and the beast of the field become too numerous for you.
Okay, what does this mean? This means if you have a land where people are dwelling, you don't have a lot of wild animals attacking because you have people defending off the towns and cities, and, you know, so they're keeping the population of wild animals down. If he wipes out all the people of the land that they're going to possess, which is a very large piece of land, then the wild animals will take over, and it'll be more of a complication to inhabit the land.
All right. Little by little I shall drive them out from before you, until you have increased, and you inherit the land. And I shall set your border from the sea of reeds to the sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river, for I shall give you the inhabitants of the land in your hand, and you shall drive them out before you.
This is showing you that Israel used to be much, much bigger. The current land that they say is Israel now is very small in comparison. And this is not, again, the state of Israel is not the kingdom of Israel. I want to clarify that very clearly.
Right.
The current state of Israel has nothing to do with the kingdom of Israel according to the scriptures.
Do not make a covenant with them, nor with their mighty ones.
Yeah. So the political, economic system that we have definitely makes covenant with false deities, including the big G, right?
Right.
The financial deity, right?
Right. Let them not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me when you serve their mighty ones, when it becomes a snare to you.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's there's a lot of stuff that I could like break down and get into like in more but when you go through this and then you think about our modern time, there's nothing new under the sun. We still got the same problems. The same sun god worship was a big problem back then. It's still a big problem today. That's what heliocentric means. Helios in the center, it's all sun god worship. So be leery. Nothing wrong with admiring the creation of the sun, which does give us energy, power, light, but you don't worship it. You worship the one that gave us the sun.
Right on.
Alrighty.
All right. Let's see. Anybody?
But like
in
I
chat?
said, there's a few verses in here that we've looked at where when they take them out of context, they can make up new laws just by completely taking it out of context.
Yeah, they like to do that, don't they?
Yep. And Jews are not the only ones who do it either. Christians do it too, so.
Mm-hmm.
Saying. All right. Did you experience rain? And it rained all day yesterday. Nothing serious.
Yeah, it just was windy and rainy. There's leaves on the ground, but it really wasn't that bad here.
Yeah. Manners, don't show up without an offering. Yeah, right? Like, hello.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. Don't be a pig. It actually talks about in later verses, which I've read on here because we were talking about the Moedim, that it says that you use a portion of the tithe, and if the journey is too far for you to bring your tithe, because tithe can be in like animals, harvest, stuff like that, you exchange it into silver, you bring it up for the moed, and then you spend it on whatever your soul lusteth after, even strong drink. Now that's King James Version. Lusteth after is just that of your desire. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not lust. Okay. But you are supposed to party. You're supposed to enjoy yourselves and have a good time at these appointed times with the Creator. And he says, if you show up at the time that I give you, I'm going to show up. And from my own experience, I would say that's true. I've had some pretty extreme metaphysical experiences because of the time that Yah has set apart.
Awesome. Hey, Bob.
Yes, hey, Bob. Let's see. Okay, Carolyn's having a conversation with people in chat.
Any questions in chat before we wrap it up?
Yeah, Bob, just to like go on your little quote here. I am not going to call a translation King Jack version. No, absolutely not. I'm no better than anyone. That's why I do this, because I can show people actually how they can look up words for themselves and translate it for themselves. I do share my translation, but I don't say that I am the epitome of knowledge of how it should actually be translated. But I do show you how ways, you can actually perceive them, that the translation's actually there. It's just, you can see they have a bias in the way that they translate it in their religious perspective. Just like the Shemayim, called the heavens, I translate that as the unseen existences, because the root of the word is Shem, and the Shem is the unseen existence. It means there, it means name, it means character, it means breath, it means it's the unseen existence. And then the active unseen existence, which is called the ruach, which is translated as spirit, wind, or breath. So, yeah, I mean, it's very, for me, it's very clear when you look at the root of the word rather than the translation of the word. All right.
Yep. All right. I guess that's it.
All righty. So 6 days from now, folks, okay, 6 days from now, you should take a 24-hour period of prayer and fasting if you can manage it. I can only tell you from my own experience, I always have a metaphysical experience on the 10th day of Yom HaKippurim, which is going to be Thursday at sunset till Friday at sunset. I don't, everybody does it differently. Okay, this is not the way to do it, right? It's not like commanded this way, but I don't eat, drink, or sleep for that 24-hour period. And every time that I'm focusing on self-inspection and my reflection on the Creator, your mind will want to wander. You're going to want to think about, what am I going to do for work? What am I going to do for land development? Whatever. You just have to refocus, and that's the same thing with any kind of meditation, right? It's very easy for your mind to wander, but just refocus and be like, okay, I want to be like the purest vessel to have the most metaphysical power in connecting with the Creator. So there you go.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Oh, by the way, next weekend there will not be a anti-religious scripture study.
Okay.
Ted's sister is getting married.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to be attending the wedding.
Oh, okay.
And we'll be gone. And then the weekend after that, it will be the 15th? And then the next weekend will be Flattoberfest, so there won't be a scripture study that day either. So what about the 15th? Are we going to do one the 15th?
The 15th will be in the midst of my party for Sukkot.
Okay, so probably...
I may be intoxicated, but we're doing it.
Okay, so you do want to do it. Okay. I thought you were going to say, so maybe we'll just take the time off. I was like...
No.
Okay.
I mean, we should just throw one in there, right? A week off, a week on, a week off,
I mean, I'm down.
Work.
So, okay, so no scripture study next weekend. There will be one the 15th, and then the 22nd is Flattoberfest.
That's right.
So, all right.
Yep.
We'll see you guys on the 15th. So thanks for joining me and Jack once again for Anti-Religious Scripture Study. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Earth's still flat. Did I get it in there?